Good morning and hello. I am your host, Angela Ahimsa, and you've tuned into Feed Your Chakras, which is streaming worldwide on Just TV, Roku, Meta, and the NCG television network. Today's guest is Vanessa Morrell. She's a sound healer and nervous system practitioner and the creator behind Breakthrough Transformations. Vanessa weaves science and spirit together, guiding echoes of others through survival mode and deep calm, clarity, and into coherence. She is a woman who's walked through her own awakening and shed many old identities, navigated profound life transformations, and discovered tools to help us reconnect with the intelligence of our bodies. From sound beds to plant allies, from emotional release to inner regulation, Vanessa's work reminds us that healing doesn't come from fixing ourselves, but it comes from listening to ourselves. In this episode, we're going to explore the art of nervous system healing, the power of sound as medicine, and what it means to transform from the inside out, and the lessons that arrive when life cracks us open. Take a slow, deep, grounding breath, and let's step into this healing conversation together. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here, Vanessa.
Thanks, Angela. I just wanted to thank you for inviting me on your show and congratulate you about your book. I haven't had a chance to do that verbally, so big congratulations, and I'm looking forward to the second release you've got coming out as well.
Thank you. There's actually a few. There's a sequel to The Parasite Purge because I just needed to end it. But then there's the whole Feed Your Chakra series coming, so that's exciting.
That's the one I'm looking forward to.
Yes. So Vanessa and I have a little bit of a history. She is married to Guy, who was the first guest on my show, and we actually even lived together. So I consider her a friend and a soul sister, and it's really an honor to be sharing her journey that I've actually experienced firsthand. So let's just dive in, shall we?
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, so since we're talking about this transformation journey, just start right there and we'll go a little deeper. When you look back at your life before the chapter that you're in now, what were your first subtle whispers that something inside of you was ready to change?
Something inside of me ready to change. Well, definitely in 2017, my friend passed away by suicide. And that was a big, I guess, aha moment to me, just about my lifestyle, materialism, how fleeting life is, what is the purpose of life? Just like, is there angels? Is there heaven? Where do you go when you die? Like all those questions you have when someone close to you dies.
Yeah.
And I guess it would really be at that moment. You know, I've had some kind of weird mystical experiences throughout my life, but it was that moment where I actually feel he passed away to get me to change my life. Like, you know, I was a materialist. I was, you know, riding my Land Rover. I was like working hard, making good money. Not really, I had kids, but I was really focused on just working and making money and not really on my family life. And we had broken up. We were boyfriend and girlfriend, but it wasn't working out. And he passed away by suicide after our breakup. So it really affected my life, my kids' life, and how I moved forward from that moment.
Yeah. It's very similar to me with my mother passing, and that was kind of my catapult into the healing and this type of work. And I obviously never met this man, but I remember you telling me about him, and you felt that he often came to visit you,
yeah,
and would communicate with you. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, one time when I was going to actually a psychic Christmas potluck supper, I was driving.
Sounds like my jam.
Right? That was actually super fun. So I was driving from Barrie to Collingwood, and I'm always about the cheap gas. So I'm going to drive on fumes to like past every gas station until I know I can get to a spot where I know it's always the cheapest gas. So I was like, oh, brother, am I going to make it to the gas station? I'm leaving it here to the very last moment. And of course, it's Christmas. It's cold. I'm a girl. I don't like pumping gas in the cold. I don't know about anybody else, but I always leave those things to the very last minute. So I did manage to get to Stainer. That's where I always stop, and I got the cheap gas. So if you're from Central Ontario, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I filled up with gas, and I got to the supper, to the hall, and we all had our meals. And it was time at the end that this older lady stood up. I believe her name was Loretta, but there was like 100 of us, and she honestly, she
Free
went
gas?
through the whole room
Okay.
in guests and told and read every person. She didn't miss one person. And when she got to me, she goes, oh, well, when I look at you, I see a male spirit, and he smells like cigarette and really bad cologne. And that was Ian. Like, I was constantly saying to Ian, you know, you're spraying that that Axe deodorant all over your body. That's your biggest organ. You know, I go, that stuff's hazardous to your health. You should not be spraying that on yourself. And he smoked cigarettes. So she like pinned him right away. And actually, the one thing he said to me was, especially in the winter, don't leave your gas empty until the very last moment. That's what his message was. After my experience of like getting there the hour before, it was really poignant and fitting. And to this day, I always listen. I always make sure I have a full tank of gas all the time. So
beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I believe that, like, for me also, I had channels or mediums and stuff refer messages to me. Have you ever had any direct contact with him since then, or?
I did see him. It's funny. I did see him one time in a DMT ceremony. It was a very interesting moment that I did see him after his passing, not much long. It was like 6 months after he passed. And it was very interesting vision. I guess went up into hyperspace, where you go when you smoke DMT. And the floor was all the black and white that you would see like in a Mason hall. And it was shards of glass sliding back and forth.
Wow.
And there was this like female entity kind of like guarding the space that I managed to slip by with, you know, how you hear people's visions, but it was really interesting. So I got into the room where he was, and there was a whole bunch of other souls there as well. It was, to me, it felt like it was a holding pen.
Like purgatory.
And he pushed through the crowd, and he actually did that exact same thing at a concert we went to. We went to see Foreigner at Casino Rama, and I was at the very front of the stage, like I always do. I'm like, woo, you know, partying with the band and everything. And he had our drinks, and he just pushed through the crowd. So that's how, when this vision happened, I knew it was him pushing through the crowd to see me. And I often hear from astral projection mentors about we're like thought forms or thought waves. We can be tears of thought. And it was really interesting that I heard that, because he came up to me and his head was like a 3-dimensional teardrop with his face inside. And the teardrop was spinning like a bubble. And every time his face would come around, he was crying.
Aww.
So yeah, it was really emotional. And he was just saying, sorry, you know? So whether, you know, they always say
that's probably why he's still in purgatory, because that's where you have to make amends and kind of heal the karma before you really rise, or
get caught in the net.
Yeah,
Whichever,
exactly.
you know. since that time, that's what's really kind of driven me into the whole thought. Are we in a simulation? Is
Yeah,
this
it's
a
very interesting.
school? Is it prison? You know, you
Earth
hear
school.
all of those
You know what kept coming to me
those
yesterday
thoughts.
is I kept like my gifts are getting stronger and stronger, and they're coming in different ways. Sometimes, like my dad actually came to visit me, but it was an energy. It wasn't like him talking, but I
Right.
understood. Actually, transmitted what he said to me for my stepmom this morning, and it made her cry. It was really beautiful.
Oh,
The second time that's happened to me. But I'm also getting stuff through songs now, right?
oh
Like
yeah.
I'm literally thinking of something, and then the song is playing, and I just finally tune in, and it's like the chorus. But yesterday it was "Heaven is a Place on Earth." And
Oh,
that thought had actually come to me earlier as I was walking. And I was thinking about, us navigating this third dimension. And then we have the people that are, you know, um, conspiracy theorists or whatever. But and not to say that none of what they're saying is true, but it's also like, what do we put our energy into? Do you know what
mhm.
I mean? And so it's like, yeah, could we be fighting? Because that's actually creating hell on earth. We're fighting what we
Yeah.
don't want, or are we creating what we do want, right? And so that's where so that was kind of my thought, and then the heaven on earth, and then later on that song came. So I think I have to make a video about it.
We're total manifestors.
Yeah, we
Our
are.
thoughts, you put forth, you know, an intention, put some energy into it, go to sleep, imagine that it's happened,
Hmm.
and go forth, kind of just let it go. I really like yelling out. It sounds weird, but I really like yelling out to trees. I
Love it.
feel,
I
yeah,
talk to
I
my trees
feel like
too,
they're
actually.
the antennas to the universe,
Yeah.
and they bring forth your wants, your desires, your dreams. You just have
Hmm.
to throw it out to the universe, literally,
Yeah.
and the trees will guide it there.
Yeah, I believe that. I am one with nature. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about navigating some of these major life transitions, because she wasn't always
Sure.
this healer. She wasn't always so grounded or regulated. She's had a lot of upheavals. For example, you moved to different countries, you've shifted careers plenty of times, and just reinvented your life. And I mean, I also have experienced that too, and I find it makes us more resilient. Some people have never experienced any of these. Some people, I think the majority, like 80%, maybe less now, but they stay within a 50-kilometer radius of where they're born, right? And so,
Uh,
how, like, I feel that limits our growth, right? We're
oh,
limited to the
totally.
same people that knew us all our lives, and then we're, responding to other people's projections and stuff. But when you have these major life transitions, it really allows you to come into your truth, your fullness without others' expectations, and it really allows us to go deeper and do that work that leads us into our authentic expression. So, what did these life transitions teach you about surrender, trust, and resilience?
Oh, wow. Well, surrender for
Kaboom.
sure. Yeah. You know, trust in the universe, surrender to just what was happening. In 2020, like a lot of other people, they were kind of annoyed with what was happening with COVID, and I took that to be a big knock on the door, to kind of take that time and do some traveling and investigate other places in the world that I might like to live. Like, no one says, you know, you're tied to Canada, you have to stay here, anything like that. So I packed up my 3-story home, sold all my
I
items.
was there for all of this chaos,
Yes,
by the way.
yes,
That was when I
you were.
moved out. I didn't go to Mexico, but
And for the real estate coming in and showings and all of that
Mhm.
annoying stuff. So thank you for bearing
Oh my gosh,
with
that was
us for
literally
that.
the most
That would,
stressful time anybody could have moved, because it was the dead of winter. We
yeah,
weren't really privy to wearing masks. We were not. We weren't like anti-maskers. We were pro-facers. We'll put it that way. But we didn't really.
we did not comply.
We didn't comply. But anyways, while we were doing the showings, right? We had to have everything so pristine and perfect, and there was like a dog, there was her son. I was renting out the basement, and it was Guy and Vanessa, and so that we were like walking on eggshells, and then we'd have to be out for hours, but there was nowhere to go. And then we were like, pro facers. So it got a little hectic in the dead of Canadian winter.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to my girlfriend Barb who let us chill at her place for a
Yes.
couple of hours all those
Yeah.
times. So thank you for that. But yeah, so when you pack up your whole house, all your memories, all your belongings, you sell everything, it really teaches you about surrender and letting go. Definitely. Um, had some issues with some people trying to like fight me down on the price for microwaves and stuff. And I really kind of felt like my guru was there saying, you're always good. Like just sell it and take what money you can get for it and be happy. And you're always guided, you're always protected. So that's kind of when I look back at it now, then I was like, she's trying to rip me off. But now I look back at it and I'm like, those were just messages to know that I'm always good. I don't ever have to worry.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to trust in divine timing. I mean, I know that you guys really wanted to get out by a certain date, but I'm also in that phase right now where I'm packing up everything and clearing out my storage, like, because I accumulated another storage.
Oh
when
yeah,
they
do
moved,
that.
so I had their stuff in my storage, and then I filled it up with my stuff after, and so I gave them their stuff back. So now I have 2 storage, and I'm like, what is even down there? So that's one of the things that I'm doing. My own shadow work is going into the dark dungeon basement.
Nice.
But yeah, so I'm also doing that, and I really wanted to get out of here, and I was feeling all this pressure because I want to be out. Like I wanted to be out now, and now it's like January. But my guidance was also just trust in divine timing. Like there's a lot of things I want to do, and I'm at the point now where I don't want to put myself into a state of stress because I feel rushed.
Right. Yeah.
That's like a zero tolerance. If I start to feel stressed, I'm like, something's not aligned here. So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. I agree with you there. If it's not flowing, just like at the very last minute, I don't know if you remember, we were trying to leave, but we also couldn't get a ticket for Lupo, my dog, who's a lab.
Oh yeah.
Out of the country. And then finally Guy reached out on Facebook and said, can anybody help us? Does anybody know anything? And one of his Facebook friends who we don't even know said, reach out to WestJet. There's this last flight. We booked it with him and we flew out with him and everything worked out. But it was like 1 week before we were leaving. It was pretty tense. Like I'm not leaving without my dog. So
and that's sometimes the test, right? It's like it actually tests how much you really care about something or you're willing to commit to it, right? Like you weren't going to leave your dog, and so everything's up in the air, but that's where the faith comes in, right? And it always pulls through in the end. So
and it's really interesting when we arrived in Puerto Vallarta, Lupo was obviously freaked out because he was just in a plane for the first time in a hold with a bunch of luggage. He didn't know what was going on. As soon as we got onto the plane, I could hear him barking. I was very worried. Roof, roof. But then I'm thinking in my mind, chill, buddy, chill. And I'm talking to Guy and he can hear me. And right away, he quieted right down. Then when we landed, the van came to pick us up. The guy opens the back. Before we had even time to think, Lupo jumped into the back and hit his head as they were opening the trunk up and then fell down. He was like, I'm going with you. Don't leave me now. So we had a real bonding. Our relationship really changed after that. He became a way better dog. So yeah, it was, I guess he knew we're in for the long haul now, not leaving him behind because he was a rescue. So
Can you describe a tool or practice that was truly transformative in your own regulation during a lot of your trials and tribulations?
Well, definitely since 2017, I'm a big advocate of breathwork. And I studied breath work with a company called Breathwave. And so they do a style of holotropic breath work that I like. It's kind of like you're thinking of a wave, a big inhale up, and then a nice relaxed exhale down. And you do that for a certain amount of time. You can do it for 5 minutes, you can do it for 20 minutes, you can do it for an hour. If you do it for a longer period of time, definitely expect to have some energy releases and some moments releasing stuck energy, releasing maybe something that didn't serve you, or something that maybe you held on to, that you didn't even realize you did hold on to.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's an amazing practice. I sometimes even just like doing like a Wim Hof style, which is a little less, I don't want to say work, but intense, because you're not breathing as long and you're doing some breath holds. So it's
Mhm.
shorter durations. Sometimes that's just nice. I'll do that before bed
I find that
and
more
help
activating than
settle
like,
my mind.
yeah, I find Wim Hof more activating breath work than like regulating personally.
Mm. Oh yeah. I don't mind Wim Hof. I like to do it.
No, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I
I
like
don't
to do
find
it
it, I don't
seated.
find it like relaxing. Like
Yeah.
for relaxing, I do more of
Oh,
like the deep exhales and stuff.
yeah.
And lately when I feel like I'm getting this flood of energy and I
Hmm.
feel it so tight and intense in my chest, like I actually just have to force that breath out. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Shake your whole body.
yeah,
Like
and people don't
I
realize
call
like
it
that's what
baby
you do.
trauma.
Just let it
Gonna
go.
Yeah. You have a baby tantrum, smack your
Yeah.
hand, shake your body,
Ooh, maybe we'll shake later
yell.
on.
Yeah. Let's do
Okay.
we'll set up like a breath work hour or something. We'll do breath work together.
Cool. Okay, let's dive into sound healing and
Okay.
your sound bed. How did you begin this as a calling to kind of journey
Hmm.
into this work? And was it intuitive, accidental, or intentional?
Yeah, it was completely intuitive. I got into sound baths. I just love sound baths. I went to my first sound bath, and then I started researching sound baths, what's happening when they're playing crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, gongs. And then I started researching for some, I don't know why I started researching about sound beds, but I did. And I was like, they're $10,000. Like, that's crazy. I really want one, but I don't want to spend $10,000. And then
Can you
COVID
just describe
hit.
what a sound bed is for the viewers, just
Oh, sure.
briefly? Yeah.
Well, mine, for instance, is just a regular massage table, and it has speakers fastened onto it. They're called transducers, and they're speakers that are similar to D box seats. Like if you went to the cinema and you chose D box, or the seats that shake and create movement and rumble during the episode of the movie that might have like a fight scene or some kind of scene, action scene where you like blast off, you'll feel your seat pull back, that type of thing. So this bed that I created have two of those transducers on it. I have a subwoofer in the room, but the transducers work best from 0 to about 120 hertz. And so that kind of connects with all of the brainwave patterns: alpha, beta, theta, epsilon. I'm sure I'm missing gamma. Miss gamma. So all those are all your brainwave states.
Yeah. What is
And
it?
what
It's alpha,
beta,
beta,
gamma,
delta,
oh,
theta, gamma.
yeah,
Am I missing any?
epsilon is one that's been recently found.
Okay.
And now they're doing really cool things. They're putting both, like if you listen to, like, let's say a theta track, which I believe is in the 2 hertz range, um, they will also apply alpha, which two of those sounds can really amplify multiple ways. So now
Mhm.
they're not just mixing one track, they're multiplying and tripling.
Alpha
Yeah,
is
it's
more of
pretty
like
cool.
where we're in that state of hypnosis and we're really programmable. And that is the state that we're in when the root chakra is developing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's why, yeah, that's why, we take on everybody else's projections and their beliefs and their fears, and it's all the childhood stuff because we're in that constant state of alpha. That's where our brain is at, but it's like a lower vibrational programming. What's your
Yeah,
favorite?
for sure. Well, I really like theta. That's the state that we're at pretty much from 0 to 7. We're in theta, we're absorbing, we're just getting everything from the world, figuring out who we are, still connecting with where we came, spirits, energies from the other side. We have better telepathy. Our minds are still open. We're not suppressed so much with, taking on opinions and things like that. So
Mhm.
theta, baby.
So what happens physically and energetically when someone lies down on the sound bed and lets the vibrations move through them? Is it different than just getting a sound healing journey or?
I think it's a little bit more concentrated, but I think it's also doing the same thing. Just the bed would be, like I say, a little bit more concentrated. When you go to a sound bath, sometimes, like I do when we give sound baths, because there's two of us, there's Guy and I giving a sound bath. So I'll go around the room with a bowl as well while Guy plays at the front of the room. So
Mhm,
we're really up close and personal. Like I
mhm.
know friends of ours, Jay will play a sitar and Justine will go around and put the didge right on your chest. So you're getting that amplification of sound right into your body. So it kind of works the same as the bed. It if you think of the Dr. Emoto studies with water, we're 70 to 80% water.
Mhm,
Happy frequencies makes water look like beautiful snowflakes when they
mhm,
freeze those structures. Negative verbiage and harmful words, let's say, make ice particles look like
ugly, yeah,
non-geometric circles, broken, kind of ugly, right?
distorted,
So yeah.
yeah,
So we know that helpful frequencies help the body and release and remove stuck energy. It can help with stress. It can help with healing the body, because when we're in our fight and flight response,
mhm,
our sympathetic,
mhm.
then we don't come down into the parasympathetic, which is our rest and digest, or
It's when the body heals.
yes, exactly. So the body has to be fluid and move into both of those states fluidly. Sometimes we need to be in fight or flight.
Mhm.
Sometimes we need to
But
be in
not
rest
like
and
constantly,
digest.
because that
Right? Yeah.
drains your immune
Yes.
system and your energy and life force.
Yeah, it releases cortisol, and you cannot heal the body when cortisol is released. You can't lose weight. So there's a lot of people, very stressful jobs. They think, oh, it's just because I'm sitting around all the time. Yes, it could be that, but it's also having to regulate your nervous system,
Mhm,
drop the cortisol. So then you're actually able to heal your body, lose weight, start sleeping well, and stress management. So it all comes together.
mhm,
And it's also a hormone regulator.
yeah.
So if you're always in that fight or flight, your hormones are going to be off as well. So you could think of, your hair's not thick, nails, all that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really important. Sounds important. Even just singing yourself, humming
Oh, I do that
is,
every day as
yeah,
part of my spiritual practice. I sing to my plants. Look at them
perfect. Well,
thrive.
that's why they look so abundant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's interesting because the whole thing about water, like lately, well, I'm a chef. I did my first detox, which is the one I talk about in my book, The Parasite Purge.
Okay.
Well, I was living with Guy and Vanessa.
Oh, yes, I
That was
remember.
when and it wasn't very successful the very first time because I just wasn't ready. I liked coffee, and food was my currency. I made food every day. I literally fed her family too, and so it was everything that I was doing. So for me to even start fasting was very hard because I'm an intuitive cook or intuitive chef, and so I don't, I have to taste things as I go, just so it's like, that's part of the process. And doing the fasting was so hard for me the first time. But then I did it again, and that's when it became successful. But now I actually hydrate more than anything. And
Mm,
I feel that the hydration and the sound, and everything that I incorporate daily into my life is why I look and feel so good right now, because we are water, right? And
Oh yeah.
bless the water you
Oh
drink.
yeah. Well, we travel an hour north when it's and collect
Yes,
water in
they told
Magnetawan.
I've
So
sent friends to the
yeah. Oh
Ellesmere,
yeah.
yeah,
Elmville. Yeah.
Elmville, yeah, Elmville Springs.
Yeah. I actually found a better spring, even
Okay,
like so from Bracebridge where I am, it's an hour north in a
okay.
town called Magnetawan, and it's amazing. It's
Oh, I'll tell
amazing
my friends about
water.
that, because they
Yeah.
drive to Elmville now. They live up
Oh
in
yeah.
Jersey
Okay.
City. Yeah.
Yeah. If yeah, tell them to reach out if they want the instructions to
All
this.
right, cool. All right, let's move on to plant medicine. We
Oh,
love
one of
our
my favorite
plant
topics.
medicine. Yes, so plant medicine, just for any viewers out there, it is medicine. It is not a drug, even though it might have some psychoactive components. When you are doing medicine from nature, it has a spirit to it, and you can feel this. It isn't a recreational experience. It means you can still technically do it recreationally, but it should be done as a sacred experience, as a ceremony, as a ritual, because it is a portal. And so plant medicine often opens doors to parts of ourselves that we haven't met yet. It makes us face our shadows, depending on what it is. Sometimes it's all just love and light or fun, but you've done a bunch of different plant medicines, which I'll let you
Yes.
tap into. And Bobinsana most recently, where she did a silent meditation, I think, for 10 days. So what did some of these teach you about your heart, your intuition, or your truth?
Well, when I first started on Bobinsana, I was here in Canada. My husband went to Costa Rica and sat with the woman named Kina who was doing it there, and brought home a tincture for me. So right away, I was taking that medicine. It tastes awesome, and
Just for everybody, I'll in the replay, I'll try and put a picture up. They're
yeah.
actually very prevalent in Mexico. When I went down
Mhm.
there, I saw Bobinsana trees everywhere. They're a little pink flower, and it looks like little like spores shooting out. They're very
It's
pretty.
I say it's alien because
Yeah,
it's
that
like
you of
little
course you would say it's
rubbery
alien.
tentacles. When I was in Mexico, actually, I picked up a Bobinsana flower and I
Hmm.
had it and I'm like, check this out. I was saying to my son, feel it, feel its texture. It feels rubbery. It feels like, what is this thing? It didn't really smell. And I was laying on my deck and I was just tickling it all over my face. And I didn't know that it was Bobinsana, and I didn't know like 3 years later
I know
I'd
you
be
would have been making tea with that.
medicing this plant, right? But yeah, right away, lucid dreams. Wow. Really helped me open up in my lucid dreams. I got like a few different messages. It's also a medicine that's good for feminine reproductive organs. So, definitely, if you're planning on having a baby or if you're pregnant, no, do not take Bobinsana. If you take Bobinsana and then you'd like to get pregnant, good idea to do like a reproductive detox for a couple of months before then attempting to get pregnant. You want it's heavy medicine. I think in Peru and Brazil, they use it as like a birth control.
Hmm.
So it can
Like the
be,
birth control.
yeah, totally. It is a very healing plant. It's also amazing for rheumatism. So if you know anybody who has
I've heard of it.
immune imbalances and rheumatism, it can help with that as well. I've noticed it. I noticed it at my thumb, and I totally had a healing into my ovaries. I kind of doubled Bobinsana up with a mushroom experience, and I had a real guidance from the Bobinsana spirit about healing my feminine waterworks, let's say. So, yeah, it was very profound. When I went away to Costa Rica and did Bobinsana, kind of a different experience. I was drinking a Bobinsana tea, and I was all by myself receiving a healing from a woman named Colleen. And she would come daily with tea and the food, rice, potatoes, and sweet potatoes daily. And I wouldn't talk to anybody but her for the first hour of the day. My dreams were off the charts. I kept a book by my bedside, and I was filling it out all night long. I wrote 3 songs, which I think, like, when I look back and I sing them now, like, they were pretty good. Like, I'm not an artistic person. I don't write
You
poetry.
are. Don't say that about
Yeah,
yourself.
well, I'm not a big writer. Like, I don't
Hmm.
I mean, I don't
But
write
that's just
music.
because you tell yourself you're not. You really
Yeah,
are.
that's
Like you
right.
wrote these
Well, like,
beautiful
I guess I
songs. So
am.
stop it.
Bobinsana brought that out in me, and
Hmm.
yeah, I wrote 3 pretty cool songs. I wrote another song this summer while taking Bobinsana here. I made a tea for myself here through the summer as well, continuing with my dieta, and I wrote a song about water. So there you go. Fits in with our conversation again. Yeah.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I just recently made a video called "You've Forgotten Your Gifts,"
Mm,
and it's basically on that. Obviously, that was something that was in her. That song, that message, that medicine. But because she doesn't normally associate with that in this life, because she's lived as this person. But we are all creative, and we are all medicine for one another, and we all carry medicine. And the thing is, we have forgotten that, and so that's what's part of the ceremony of doing these plants. Is it brings us back into the remembrance of who we truly are, and our gifts, and how we're supposed to share. And initially, if we have a lot of trauma and a lot of healing, the first, I don't know, number of ceremonies are going to be about your traumas, about you facing your shadows, because you need to go through that in order to heal. But once you've integrated enough of that, and you've healed, or you've transmuted that pain into power, then you become the medicine for other people. And this is why a lot of us who have gone on this journey are now healers ourselves, sharing
for
this with other
sure.
people.
Yeah, I totally agree there. We've set the sound bed up in my basement, and I'm also involved with another company. I just recently became involved with a company called BrainTap, and they have a device that measures your autonomic nervous system and sees where you are in this state of stress or rest and digest. And
Mm-hmm.
then we play the frequencies through the headset, and it has flashing blue and red lights in your eyes and in your ears. And I've got it set up so that I'm playing it through the bed and through the headset. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
super cool,
Is that the
I must
Lucia
say.
light?
Pardon me?
Is that the Lucia light bed?
It is not the Lucia light. The Lucia light, I believe, is a white flashing light. It's very similar to another device that we use from the light of our phones. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Luminate.
Yeah.
So that's another experience that you can have on the bed. I really like the brain tap in the day with the light, the blue white light, and it's also flashing light
Can
into
you
your
just explain what
ears.
BrainTap is for everybody?
Sure. So BrainTap is a device. It's called within BrainTap. It's called NeuroCheck, and you use that system to first see how your system's regulated, and then if we see if you're more in fight or flight or more in rest or digest, we put you onto the bed with the headset, and it flashes the light program. It has a whole app, the BrainTap app, thousands of musical tracks, meditations, breath work, brain empowerment for like business, so many different types of categories that you can tap into. I really like the ones. They're working also with a company called In Harmony, which sells sound beds as well. So their In Harmony soundtracks are also all within the Brain Tap. So I utilize those on the bed as well. And I just started this week experimenting on myself, listening to an alpha track and playing the theta through the bed. And it's been pretty interesting.
Cool. All right. Well, let's since we're getting close to the end, let's just do a quick practice for people so that it can help them regulate their nervous system very quickly. Maybe it's a
Okay.
breathwork
Sure.
tool. Maybe we do some tapping. What do you want to give us? Let's do it.
Well, how about just some nice big inhales and exhales
All right,
and just
I'm all for
connecting
it.
with our breath? Yes. So just, close your eyes.
First out, shake out any
Yeah,
stress you have in your body
definitely
from some
shakes.
like movement in
Definitely
there.
shake.
Woo! All
Yeah.
right. Ah.
Yeah. And then just close your eyes and first connect with your breath right now. Look at your breath. Maybe, you're not even breathing. Maybe you're having a shallow breath, not bringing the breath up into your chest. And I'll just say one interesting thing I learned a couple of weeks ago is that every time we lift our diaphragm, it lifts our kidneys and replaces them in the proper spot. So isn't that interesting? So if they shifted when you take that big inhale and then it drops that whole kidney right back into the place that it's supposed to be. So the body is just so amazing. And through that, we'll open our mouth just like a light opening, just relaxing our jaw, taking inhales and exhales through our mouth. So a nice inhale, slow, kind of controlled. You're going to lift your chest a bit. You're going to take that breath under your rib cage into your lats. And then exhale a nice, relaxed, nice sigh. Yeah, dropping that belly button down towards the spine, getting rid of all that air. And then once you get used to that breath pattern, we're going to just pick it up a little bit and make it circular. So you're not taking any breaks between the inhales or between the exhales, just moving fluid like a wave moving through the ocean, right? They don't ever stop. It just is, they just keep going. So I'll just maybe do a little example if you want to follow on. Good. And you'll just keep that breath going. You might start to feel a little tingling into the head. And if that's happening, it's certainly telling you that, hey, you're not breathing. I'm not getting this oxygen into my brain, into my nervous system, right? Maybe you're going to continue this breath and you're going to start to feel some little vibrations into our hands. That's called tetany. Yeah, keep breathing. You can give them a little pat down onto your couch or do anything, little shake of the body. Anytime you feel that you're just not feeling the breath, or maybe it's coming on, the experience is coming on too much, you just stop the breath. That's the best part of it. It's so controlled. You just come back to your regular breathing pattern, do a little oming, make a little sound, give your body a little shake, maybe hold your breath, on your blanket, not in your bathtub. I've heard some crazy things about
Oh,
people
really?
holding their
I take
breath.
baths all the time now, and I
Yeah.
have some salt baths, and I do
Yes.
relax.
But not recommended for breath work.
Well, I do more like relaxing breaths, not like,
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And Vanessa, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your vulnerability, and the embodied calm that you bring into every space that you enter. Your work is a powerful reminder that healing begins with the nervous system and that the transformation unfolds when we create safety within. And to everybody listening, may this conversation invite you to soften, to listen more deeply to your inner knowing, to your body, and to honor the signals that guide your personal evolution and transformation, and have a breakthrough transformation. And if this episode resonated, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps amplify these healing conversations and supports the mission of Feed Your Chakras. And if you would like to get in touch with Vanessa, we'll let her share her social media with you.
Yes, I'm on Facebook under Break Free Transformations, and I'm also on Instagram I think it's called Break Free Transform. I was trying to confirm that the other day, and I'm just like, I don't know where it says, but I think it says Break Free Transform. And I've also got a cool bunch of playlists under Vanessa BFT on Spotify. If you like ecstatic dance playlists and stuff like that, you can check me out there. I'm kind of dabbling into making a bit of music as well now. So yeah, look forward to giving
Awesome.
some transformative healing, and wanted to just take the time to thank you for inviting me on today.
Beautiful. So you can connect with Vanessa